How's Manuka going?
Good. Yeah, a lot of evolution has occurred just in the
What's happening?
last since we last spoke. We talked about um, the Titans of Today show, right?
Yes.
Yep. So now that's in good swing. We've published 5 interviews so far. We've done about 10, and yeah, we're just meeting with amazing people every day, which is exactly our target result. And yeah, it's working so well that
Everyone wants to talk, huh?
yeah, we have some good, really exciting plans to come about what it means for the future of business. One key thing that I will mention here is that we're going to make an entertainment network that will evolve from this. That's really going to change the way people think, and that's actually what we're after fundamentally. Is you improve somebody's quality of living by changing their quality of thinking. And so
Interesting.
this sort of thing, I mean, I don't want to reveal too much. I do have a deck, everything, all that ready to go, and um, but yeah, we have some exciting things that are coming up. And the core principle is to, again, change people's thinking, but do it in a way that's really easy, lightweight, and meets people where they're at. An entertainment network, right? People want entertainment, but
Mhm.
nowadays people are plugged into things that aren't positive, things that are inherently very negative or corrosive or intently negative, right? I mean, or trying to create fear in people. And so we're going to create a network that will do something totally transformatively different. But also, and this is why the part where I'll just be sensitive on is just the way in which we're going to monetize is really exciting, and the people and the way we're going to bring it all together is going to be transformatively different. And yeah, something you and I can talk about off recording sometime. But,
Don't tell me it's gonna be Web3 and tokenized.
well, maybe. No, just kidding. But the funny thing about that, I actually had I came across, and this is I just believe the power of your mind and your focus. And this is why I love this. What we've started to do is because we've literally opened up. And I listened to something yesterday. I can't remember what it was talking about, but it was saying that actually, yeah, it was a piece. If you're on YouTube ever, you have those like certain channels that are all about this sort of like positive thinking or create your reality sort of content. And this specific video was this guy saying that you need to open yourself up to relationships. You need to open your mind up to put yourself in front of more people, have something to provide them, change your mindset about what it means to actually provide a value to them. And that's the number one thing. If you have something that's great, that's going to change and improve people's lives, put yourself in front of more people. And this strategy has been wonderful because that's exactly what it's done. We just get in front of great people, and we're attracting these people because the person that I met actually already has a platform for the music industry that is very similar to what we want to build. So we're
Nice.
looking at it, and it's perfect partnership. He needs what we do. He needs the growth automation, the growth services, and things like that. He needs it because he does not have it, and we needed his tech, which is just the perfect thing. And again, that's how you attract people by the power of your thinking, and it's so true. So
It's working, and I'm glad to hear
yes,
it's working for you as well.
absolutely. Yeah, tell me more about yours experiences lately.
So far, I've been mentoring at 500 Global in SF last few weeks, startups from Singapore, all very smart guys. A lot of AI in different variations. AI for building, so AI for data analysis, for trends, for food industry, AI for taking pictures of, um, let's say, semiconductors in the factory settings and then finding defects in mass scale. AI for figuring out if the person is lying to you, like a polygraph, but a newer version of it, I guess, smarter version of it. AI for all other kind of things, pretty much. I've also visited RSA conference where they have a whole other dimension of AI at work, where they just pull information from different endpoints, API, websites, anything they can get their hands on, and then they'd be tracking what users do, where they go, and see if there are any threats. So they'd send notifications based off that or respond in order to prevent those threats. And honestly, what I'm seeing right now in Silicon Valley, in SF, is just this AI everywhere, and it's being implemented deeper and deeper into all aspects of life, and things that I have not thought about previously now are just all popping out, and I see that it's just everywhere. It's just being put everywhere, which kind of maybe on one side gives that additional layer of automation, but on the other side, I think takes away another layer of human interaction, maybe. Or
No, exactly. You're spot on. And I think, you know, that is, and I don't know if we've talked about this, and this is the exact thesis around what we're doing. That people think, okay, I come from a long history of sales background. And it's on our website. I may have told the story before, but my dad gave me 2 books when I first started sales: How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is all about human connection, making people feel respected, appreciated, valued. Second book was about AI and how it will change sales. And so for me, I was looking at it, and the book specifically said 95% of all sales jobs will be automated by 2030. And so me, I'm like, what? Like, you know, I just got into sales. Now what I'm going to be doing is going to be gone. But COVID was a huge catalyst. And I am certain that we are years ahead, and it's just years ahead in thinking, because but it's so simple because it's a fundamental principle. And I'll go into the story here about how COVID changed things. So COVID came around, and all these sales automation tools were there, and Zoom was there, but then they really started to hit the forefront and be used all over the place. And people think that, okay, automation, direct sales automation is going to be the future, but in actuality, it's become the problem. It's become very annoying. It's become very low level. And those behaviors have always existed. Now they're just more pronounced. Now they're just across every channel because you can automate every channel essentially. And so our whole focus and our whole thesis then here moving forward is what's more important, what actually people are starved for, and this is always the case, going back to the fundamental principle, human connection. That's what people really want and they really need. So, you know, that's where we view what we're going to be doing as what's going to underpin any and all technological advancement, because it's just a strategy that goes back to, hey, people still matter. And if you want to get things done, it's the relationships that drive those interactions and results.
yeah, and there are also researchers in that regards that say that money doesn't make people happy. It's connections that keep them alive, let's say, and their connections around them that they depend on, and their support system, I guess, in this regards, just in our human regular life, outside of all business that we talk about. It's all about human connections after all. And it's also good if there are calm and patient and loving people around you. Not only in personal relationship, but in business relationship as well. It's interesting that here in at the batch I've been working with, there are just a few people that actually are religious too, and then we've been talking about like different ways of discussing things that are going on in the world, that are going on in the business. And with one of those, we were talking, and I was like, yeah, imagine they say that very soon a person will be able to receive information almost instantaneously in his mind whenever he needs any information. And he was like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. He was like, it's Elon Musk is working on that chip, you know, Neuralink. So you get connected, any information you need, bam, you get it. I was like, yes, that's one way, but then there is actually another way, which is
Exactly.
through developing your through meditation, pretty much through connecting
Yeah.
to what's that called, Chronics of Akasha, right? Chronicles of Akasha, or what's that called? Ether.
Akashic records.
Akashic records. All right, that may be true. So, so when you talk to a person who is in IT, the first thing that he is thinking about when you talk about like instantaneous knowledge, he's like, oh yes, chips, chips, or like any augmentation via technology. And I was like, yes, this is one way, but there is actually another way to get the same level of information, of instantaneous access, however, without any implants, because we already kind of built as an implant one, one big walking antenna, in order to be
True.
able to connect to that information. That's what Tesla did, for example, or Einstein, and then they would
Exactly.
receive those like dreams or like inspirations, and then this is all like recorded. So what I want to say is that there are two ways, and I think that's what will be happening in the world right now with the acceptance of AI tech, and with the acceptance of more and more kind of dive into putting more appliances on the person. Like everyone is walking with Aura rings, with Apple watches, with Google glasses, like all hang iPhones, AirPods, like everyone is
Yeah.
already super connected to the internet. However, they're getting less and less connected with what we're talking about, the human connection and human interaction, because everyone is gets so busy with their own devices and their own like tech that they're going through, that there is almost no time to even talk to each other, and no time to develop your own personality and your own kind of ability to naturally see signs around you or receive information that's being sent by universe to you without any devices, and as well as devices as well, though. um, so
Mhm.
what I think will be happening is the world will be just splitting into these two separate groups. The group that will be more and more diving into tech and using all kind of implants, tech, genome editing, I don't know, whatever technology offers them in order to just get to the results in a faster, let's say, easier way that is offered to them by big pharma, big tech, big whatever else it is. And then there will be another group of people that will be kind of trying to avoid maybe um, or using more sustainably and more acknowledging all that tech. But on the other side, they'll be working on their own uh, like meditative states, ability to listen to their inner selves, or ability to hear other people around them. And then I think that will be like a two groups of people pretty much that will be sometimes connecting to each other, but maybe mainly be on different even specters of society. I don't know. It will be interesting, I think.
As younger, my parents, and I never saw myself this way, but my parents said that I was a quiet observer because I'm the youngest of five. So
Mm.
I did a lot of observation, but I guess it's interesting because I've now started to realize, even just through this call here now, about the way that I process information and forming opinions, things like that. And I'll get back to that in a moment. But the the thing you're mentioning about the connectivity to your own self or the collective mind and all those sort of things, that is actually right now what everybody who's extremely successful is using, right? Like Elon Musk, even ever since he was very young, even has had this innate, remarkable ability to visualize, and that's well documented that he would visualize and like create ideas in his mind when he was young, that his parents thought he was deaf when they would try to say things to him. And this is true, and it's when you're really focused, sometimes your senses actually become so attuned to what you're presently putting your attention on, and the ability to create those images in the mind. Have you ever played StarCraft before?
Of course, I
Oh,
grew up on StarCraft.
game. Absolutely. Whenever I play that game, that game, for whatever reason, I mean, you can snap in. You have a clear, definite objective. You're in it for survival. You're in, and it's you got 200 actions per minute. You're just tuned in. You got hotkeys and everything. Something about that degree of focus I'll go to sleep or something, and I'll just have like images of freaking the StarCraft running around in my mind. And so I think that is actually the most important thing. And this is something I've never thought of before, is that when you can dial in your focus on whatever your subject is, your mind becomes populated with the images. You tune in to what are the right actions or the right things that you can do. One example of this is if I'm really focused on something, I'll wake up at 2:30 in the morning or right in the middle of the night, and I'll be like, okay, I have to get up. And it's from a deeper, it's from your like, it's from your subconscious that drives your body. On average, you could wake up in the middle of your sleep and you'd be like, oh, I got to get back to sleep. But there's some times where I'll wake up and I'll just be like, I need to go and write. I need to go and get on my laptop right now. And that is when you're so focused, you tune in, whether it be just mental, right? Mental, subconscious, conscious, subconscious connection, your deeper connection to that own element, or if it is, to the higher powers and the what is beyond our comprehension, is subject to opinion. And that's where it comes back to the point about the way I make opinions. I prefer to live opinions rather than, you know, like profess them and say, hey, this is how it needs to be. I prefer that if I have an opinion, I've developed it very strongly and I'll live it. Of course, if I'm ever asked, I'll share it. But you, yeah, I don't know, maybe you have something similar. I like to live the reality of hey, this is how I perceive things to be.
living in it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's I can relate. I think I understand what you're talking about. Um, let's see.
I'm glad you
Um,
played StarCraft. That's
StarCraft.
awesome.
I mean, yeah, we all grew up on it. We used to go to a small computer club next to our school with kids to after school, sometimes instead of school, to to play StarCraft. And then Doom and Quake. I used to have dreams of Quake in my mind after the first time I played it. I literally continued playing it in my dreams. It was interesting.
Mm.
Okay. Let's see. So, what do you think we could cover? What topics we could talk about? What do you think is important?
Are you seeing many Web3 startups
Um,
or things a lot of that nature?
Actually, not in this batch. Not many. Um, and actually, I don't. I just don't. I guess I just don't follow this too much. I see it's maybe a few people here and there that are in it, and I see them posting about it in social media, but I'm just not in it myself. And it just feels weird to me with the whole Web3, Oculus, virtual reality things. It just, um, when you start understanding or realizing that we are already, our souls or like our quantum energy selves are already living in this hologram, which is quantum
Yes.
reality, which is already like a metaverse. And
Yep.
then we are already here in order, like, we need to interact in it. We need like to improve ourselves in it. We need to solve quizzes, puzzles, um, and whatnot, communicate with each other. And this is already like a virtual reality we are in with our physical body as our vessels, what they call it. And then when I think about how everyone is trying to get out of this virtual reality in order to get into another layer of like virtual reality, almost like an Inception movie, I guess,
Mm.
in order like to go into another level of a dream where they could interact and do things and see things. And then I talk to people who are into it very much, and they say, well, yes, but imagine how comfortable it is to do it from where you live, for example, from your own apartment, from the sofa you're at. Like, isn't it super comfortable to do that? I
Sounds
agree.
terrible.
Yeah, I agree it's comfortable, but on the other side, it means that personally you kind of don't develop, I guess.
No, you don't. You don't. It's I don't know. It's maybe someone could say, okay, to bring StarCraft back up, parents probably X number of years ago could have been like, you're playing that game all the time. You're not developing yourself. And I would say StarCraft definitely did develop me in certain ways, right? Thinking and relationships. But no, you're absolutely right. I mean, to some extent, it's just let's say you had two choices. You could go to Cancun physically in reality, or which okay cost $6,000-7,000 if you go have a nice trip, you bring a couple people, or you sit in the metaverse and you go there and you guys all hang out. It's just not the same. I'm gonna
Right.
choose the trip
I
every
mean,
time.
the main issue here, I understand, is the money part of it. And I guess that's what it's maybe aimed at a certain level to. You get like this, whatever, $500 Oculus or VR set, and then you are able to travel the rest of the world, I guess, almost for free, or maybe for a subscription fee,
Hmm.
whatever they're planning to offer. Um, but then I mean, it's just, I think that it plays again on what you've been mentioning at the beginning of our talk, is these kind of things, they play on the idea that people want to be lazy as a
Yeah, the
humans.
comfort is most
Yeah, we
important.
want to be comfortable, we don't want to move much, we just want to kind of stay in one place, everything brought to us, everything given to us, and we're kind of feeding our egos in this scenario, with all this attention, or like fluff and stuff. So it kind of takes
Yeah,
away the whole experiential part. And I have a few friends that are just also, they are in IT, and then they're kind of like loners, they live single, their apartments look like hell, everything is messy, they don't want to like take care of anything. And I mean, on top of that, they'll put on their VRs, it'll be just like they'll be living probably in like surrounded by garbage and trash that they never take out, the bad that they never will take care of, everything will be like complete mess around them. But then in their virtual reality that they'll be living in, everything may be perfect. But then they go, because it's kind of pre-configured for you, you go back, it's already cleaned up. But
yeah.
in the reality, everything is just
Unless it's a
mm,
feature where you get to clean up your own room in the metaverse, which is
right.
probably they'll probably make that where it's like, oh, this is the DLC, the expansion pack where you actually get to clean up. And that's a
And
joke right now, but it's gonna become reality because all those
probably
jokes.
will. Yeah, and that's on. It's fun and sad, and I'm not sure. And there is a company in the current batch that I'm talking to. What they do is a deception AI. So it's a polygraph, but using AI tech for pretty much tracking if the person is lying to you. So it will. So their ideal situation that they want to go forward for is, all right, it's a software plugin that can be kind of added to our Google Hangouts, for example,
Yeah,
conversation.
that'd be nuts.
And
That would be
then
that would be
let's
stupid.
say you are a founder and I'm an investor and you're pitching to me. So I install this app up front, and when you're talking, I'll be also seeing all kind of stats on whether you're lying to me or not. And on surface level, I feel like, well, maybe it's a good idea, to help kind of investors to track those founders so that there is less of that Elizabeth Holmes situations, let's say. But on the other side, I mean, we could apply it to all our politicians as well, but then we'll be
Mhm.
just, everyone already knows that everyone is lying. And will it solve the ultimate issue of like, and then,
Trust.
uh, yes, of trust. And then the other side of that is that will it um, will it help the person who lacks those kind of cues in his life foreseeing other people lies or like behavior or psychological state. If someone is just not attentive enough to possible cues in life of others people, and then he gets such a tool, will it mean that it will help him to become better at seeing those cues and tracking whether people he's talking to on how their psychological portrait is, or will it only kind of send him further away from understanding humans altogether?
Further
Will he
away.
be just now like relying on those stats that he'll be seeing, and then what if they lie, let's say? And
Right, and or
um,
if they're inaccurate. I mean, isn't it a polygraph is
um,
largely based on heart rate, perspiration,
yes,
things of that
Bl-
nature.
blinking. What they track is blinking, heart rate, breath,
How do they track heart rate? But
perspiration.
so breath could be make
They
sense, but
actually
how
track
yeah.
heart rate. I think they combine thermal image, high resolution video feed, and from the video feed, I think they ultimately can even like track mini muscular or vein like pulps, for the heartbeats. It's pretty
Mhm.
impressive, and it's pretty
Yeah, it is.
crazy.
That's very impressive. I think it would create an alien or maybe I could be wrong, right? This first interpretation is, yeah, would be quite weird.
So the guy who's one of the founders, he's actually like a religious person himself, and it was interesting. He's like, what I want to do is I just want to get rid of all those liars. And he has a solid background story where he says, well, I've been in banking and I've invested into a company, the money of the fund I was running, and that founder, he said, he just spent money on like expensive cars, and then we couldn't retrieve anything out of him. By the time we were like on top of the situation, he was already like drained out of money, and the business is not going anywhere. And he was like, the this guy, he says, I felt personally uh, kind of responsible for the situation. So he found a team of top specialists, Stanford, Princeton, MIT, whatnot, to build this, to kind of solve his own personal issue that he received. But then what I told him, I mean, it's all great, but what I want you to do is just to make sure that this software or this hardware or this concept is ethical, and that you make sure that when you continue developing, when you continue implementing it, when you continue um, experimenting with it, is that you always keep that ethical part in mind about how it can be used and where it can go, which I mean is probably very important for 99.9% of founders that build their companies, maybe with a good intention at the beginning, but
Mhm.
then I see that they say fish starts rotting from the head. They talk often about such stuff about governments, but I also think that's the same concept that is applied to companies that do things nowadays. For instance, if the company's bosses are not kind of are negative thinking people, then we'd see probably a lot of pressure, a lot of stress in that environment in their offices, and it will go down from the very top to the very bottom, which will be the boss on the top will be pressing his VPs, VPs will be pressing managers, managers will be pressing him, and just the whole structure will be like stressed. Versus companies where we'd see people with maybe a more positive outwards I don't know, experiences and desire to be maybe helpful, spiritual, kind of bringing more positive energy. And if they do that from the top, then we'll see up to the bottom level that everyone is more relaxed, maybe more satisfied with their life, more satisfied with what's going on in their companies, with their relationship within the companies. And I think that's ultimately what's very important in any founders journey is probably not only to concentrate on the bottom line, which is like, let's make money, 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 money drives the world, money drives sales, 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 like let's work, work. But also, what I see is that ultimately the founders that I've known, those ones, let's say, survived, thrived, and feel much better now personally in their personal journey and in their professional journey, that found time to look deeper inside themselves and find inner peace, and then project that inner peace around them, and then take into consideration sustainability, personal growth, human relationships, happiness, love, gratitude, all those energies from the positive spectrum of what our universe offers. And then I'd see that those founders, after burning out multiple times and then being tired of, let's say, their previous schemes that they were trying to achieve results through, when they kind of become whole with their, that's what I've been talking about with this founder, is that everything in life should be like a wheel. Harmony should be in all spheres of life. So if we take all aspects of life as a wheel, then if only professional side is developed, then it'll be like a bad wheel that'll be constantly wobbly. But
Mhm.
then you gotta like develop your professional life, your personal life, your family life, your health, your free time. So you gotta work on everything simultaneously, almost giving time to every piece of um, your your life, your profession, your company, your family, your friends. So it shouldn't be like a journey where you just concentrate, okay, money making, that's it, I'm just gonna do that. If you just do that and you have kids, like chances are your kids will be screwed. And then whatever you've been working for, no one will be able to take advantage of in a few years. And then you didn't have life, they won't have life, nothing kind of will work out in this case. You take advantage of your workers, karma will catch up, life will screw you over. So what I feel like is important is that founders building companies being aware that there is karma, there is uh, there is energy, there is the reality we live is quantum reality.
Mhm.
Energy doesn't go anywhere. Einstein, whoever else they said, energy just transfers from
Neither
one
created nor
state
destroyed.
to another. Yeah,
Mhm.
so um, it's a matter of every person as a creator to choose what he's gonna build. And if the person builds negative structures around him, it eventually will catch up with him. And if not in the first year, second year, third year, in a decade, it will catch up with him. It may take a larger cycle to kind of screw things up, as we can see with a lot of companies that go through trials now that we never thought would happen. But even the case with Theranos, for example, or Uber, or even previous cases of like major VC funds, major Hollywood companies, all these names that we hear about going through trials, serious trials, they all thought karma won't catch up with them. They all thought they can keep doing shit and then nothing will happen to them. But we
Yeah,
can see that it's actually, fortunately, not true, I guess. And then we can see that uh, their whatever negative structures they've built, they all has been kind of
exactly.
destructed by at the end.
Yep.
And it may have taken a year, 10, 15, 20, in certain cases even 30 years or 40, or we can
Mhm.
see those Nazi people being judged now, like after decades, but it's catching up with them. So it's a matter for everyone to understand that, just from the very start, you got to be slow, you got to be sustainable, you got to be calm, patient, work on your inner peace, inner happiness, inner self sustainability, inner calmness, love, gratitude. And then if you start building with those blocks and attract, you will be attracting people with the same values as you also mentioned. And the law of attraction will be working in this direction for you. And even though things won't work out maybe as fast as if you screwed things here and there a few times or went a shortcuts, like it was called shortcut, it may not be as fast as if you use a shortcut, but then at the end of the day, things would turn out much better for you long term. And this is what we should be thinking about long term.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm 100% believer in that. It really boggles the mind to think of people who don't include this in their personal philosophy and think that there is a way to just forever get away with doing things that are wrong and hurt people or what have you. It's just I have no, I can't even fathom, where someone's like, yeah, this is going to be great, right? It's like you got to do things the right way and come from the right energy. That's the most important thing. Come from the right energy, and everything else will align itself for you. You will find the opportunity. You'll meet the people. It all come together when you're right here and you're saying, okay, and to go back to that thing you said, the whole person. You have to be a whole person. I'm a firm believer in that, and I think that more than anything is what I find. Uh, this is what I experience with people that I know. It's just and that I've met. Is that whole person approach is so necessary, and it's seemingly so simple, right? It's like you are the summation of everything that you do. Your entire the way you think, what you feed your mind with, the way you treat others. They're not like, okay, I can treat somebody terrible here and do this, and they're disconnected. They're all the same. They're all together.
That's right.
Hone yourself.
And I think what's important here is that I think that people who don't kind of see that are maybe people also who were never kind of explained to about that. They maybe never had an opportunity to even explore this information because the circumstances and the environment they've been living in since their childhood even maybe was always about dividing and conquering, taking advantage of everyone around you, grabbing to it's mine, kind of developing this egoistic pretty much approach where they'd be like, no, it's for me. If I don't get it, who will get it? Like it's just for me, it's mine. I gotta be the first person. I gotta take it. I gotta be the one who gains the most out of it. And may have been like just developed in their lifetime because of the environment they've been seeing. Because everyone around you, I mean, in Russia, we'd say, when you get born, you don't think, oh, let me go earn money because of what you see of all the corruption and all the issues that are going on. The first thing a kid would think about is like, oh, how can I go steal something? It's not like it's not because the kid is bad. It's just because the whole thing is just working that way because he sees that I can't make money by just working because I'll be just as my poor parents who've been working all their lives and still don't have anything. But I see these oligarchs and all these kind of thieves in and like thieves, let's say, in the surrounding the government structures or
The
thieves in the
kleptocracy.
yeah, and they all live life, good life. So why don't I go steal something? Why don't kill someone? Why don't I go screw someone? And then my life will be better too. But then what happens is that karma will catches up with them, but much later in life. So what I want to say is that it's don't go that route. Just
Yeah.
yeah, try to be happy. One of the most important things that I find in life after going through a lot of struggles is that it ultimately turns out to be very, very important to be happy and grateful for whatever you already have. And it's, I think, all starts with understanding that part. Hey, if I woke up, actually, that's a lot to be thankful for, because they say that when we sleep, we're actually dead, which from the spiritual perspective means that our soul travels somewhere, but then from the like just physical perspective means that we are we may not wake up even. So if you wake up, you are already grateful for that. You have something to eat, you're grateful for that. You have something somewhere to go, grateful for that. And then the idea of being grateful for whatever you already have means that on an energy level, on your own brain waves level, because we're all energy structures. Ultimately, quantum physics again, where world around us works on so we've already briefly covered Schumann's resonance on our previous
Mm.
call, but I don't think those calls are going to be published because my videographer said that there are a lot of voice issues and whatnot. So I'll just go over that information again, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So what happens is, from the perspective of physics and our world structure and how the energy works in this regards, is the following way. Apparently, since everything around us is waves, energy vibrations, scientists have proved it. We're all like this energy pieces, pretty much walking around. Everything emits energy. Our brains are energy. Our world around us is energy. So electromagnetic field of our earth and electromagnetic fields of our brains, they are kind of either on the same vibration level or they are on different vibrations level. If it's in the same vibration level, it means that they are in harmony. If they're on different vibration levels, they are not in harmony, they're in dissonance. So what I mean by vibration level, for each person, it will be the energy that the person emits on a regular basis is derived from the emotions that the person is experiencing in his mind. How does it work? We've got Schumann's resonance on our Earth from the surface of Earth up to neonosphere. We've got these huge waves called Schumann resonance again that go around the Earth, very large waves, and scientists have uncovered and they have been tracking it for years now, and they say that for thousands of years it's been 7 hertz, and that's been going on for a while. And then they say that the organisms that were developing on Earth, they use this resonance as a base tone to develop their own frequencies and develop their own energies and develop their own bodies and physical energy. So how it works is, because of the quantum um, reality of the universe that we exist, actually it's not physic physical material that appears first. It's actually energy in terms of intention that appears first,
Mm.
which means that in the quantum reality, first we've got information field, and then on top of that information field, a flower will grow, or a body will develop, or a human will develop, or an animal will develop, or small bacteria will develop, or viruses. So they all would all have their own kind of energy level. And then what Schumann resonance has to do with that is that it's used like that triangle in music where you uh, tune your own energy levels based off that I mean, in music, right? You use that triangle to
Mm.
tune your instrument, but then in lives, in our reality, in our world, that Schumann resonance base heartbeat of Earth is being used by organisms to build out their own energy levels and then develop. So for us humans, what is this important for is the energy levels and the spectrum of our emotions that are, for example, deriving from greed, anger, hatred, and emotions that are what's called in sacred text is pretty much the main sins. The I forgot 7 or 9 deadful sins,
7 deadly sins.
7 deadly sins. I always forgot them one by one, but everyone can Google that and see for themselves what those sins are. The idea actually behind all of that stuff is um, when you promote such emotions, you also promote energy around yourself within that spectrum of emotions. And that means that you are attracting energies in the same spectrum of emotions. It means that people, that's Western law of attraction. If you smoke, you'll attract smoking people. If you are Russian, you'll attract Russians. If you're American, you'll attract Americans. If you're Vietnamese, you'll attract Vietnamese. If you're angry, you'll attract angry people. If you're fearing, you'll attract fearful people. However, if you're grateful, same law of attraction will bring grateful people for you. So all those deadly scenes, um, all those how did you say it?
7 deadly sins.
7 deadly sins. All those deadly sins are below the heartbeat of Earth, which means that you are in dissonance with the heartbeat of Earth, which means that you are kind of not living in the harmony around you with the energy of the Earth, with the heartbeat of Earth, with the people who emit gratefulness in their life. However, if you become grateful, then suddenly your um, level of energy, your vibration level on that quantum spectrum of your brain, um, of your electromagnetic brain field, if you are grateful, if you love, if you want to love, if you want to be kind of accepting and want to be nice, and you try to project those energies, it means that you'll start vibrating on higher level, higher than the heartbeat level, which means there will be in harmony with the heartbeat of Earth and in harmony with the grateful people around you, with people that are also sharing their love. What will happen is that you'll start attracting such people around you as well. So it's very difficult though. The idea here is that everyone, because everyone so much has been conditioned in their since their childhood in a way they're like, okay, be afraid, be scared, be complicit. I also heard this interesting term of like from Karen Zondag. She's been describing, not Karen Zondag. Um, it's another like uh, a person who's been describing the political situation in the world, and he said that a very nice term. He said that the world we live in is governed by the rule in French. It's also some French, some French politician, I guess. He said, punir et surveiller, surveiller et punir, which is translated as to um, surveillance pretty much and punishment. So what's happening is the society we live in is so much conditioned by the thoughts that they're being surveyed and being punished for every move that they do outside of kind of the common scenario that is being given for them, and everyone around them is being so scared. So the person inherently forgets about the ability to be grateful, to be sustainable, to be
Mhm.
loving, to be projecting those higher level of energies. And what is important is to get there, but it's very difficult to do that. Actually, it's easy when you get there, but the piece of where you have to switch from being constantly on a negative approach about the life, about things that are going on or nothing is working out. I'm so unlucky. I'm so scared. I'm so fearful. Everything is like against me. People hate me. People don't like me. I can't communicate with people. I'm a loner. I'm just gonna die alone. I'm not gonna find my peace in this life. Just trying to get out of that state is super difficult. And usually, what is one piece that helps most people is being able even to breathe for 10 seconds without any thoughts. Because those thoughts, negative thoughts that are in our mind, they keep running around like crazy, I don't know, 40,000, 45,000 thoughts a day. So let's say half of them is like, no one likes me. I'm like not good enough. I'm not gonna make it. I don't have good people around me. If you keep thinking about that and your electromagnetic field is attracting this information, you'll just keep attracting that stuff. So in order to get to the next step is first you gotta get rid of such thoughts, which can happen only if you stop thinking about that. In order to stop thinking about that, aside from all the spiritual experiences with magic mushrooms, ayahuasca, and whatnot, which can be considered somewhat of a shortcut, but the real, like, sustainable way to do it is meditation. And then through meditation, a person can understand that, all right, if I'm capable of holding myself for 10 seconds without negative thoughts, maybe I can hold myself without those thoughts for a few days. And
Mhm.
then after that, maybe I can start replacing those negative thoughts with more positive thoughts of like, all right, I can do it. Oh, I if I give something, and it's also very often about giving something out, which I think is very important to remember, that religion is not also all bad. It's not only bad things that it describes. Actually, prophets that did not bring any religion, in fact, they were just like kind of bringing in the idea of love, of like patience, of being kind to people. They never said like, hey guys, you gotta you gotta be religious. I don't think they ever said that. I don't think they said like, you gotta be religious. I think they all said like, oh, love people, be kind to people, think good things, donate things, give more and you'll receive more. And what it turns out is that those ultimate things, like simple things in life, they can give a huge impact on, not only on business, on personal relation, and making that wheel of personal life and work life and the balance in life, balance wheel, whatever it's called. I think there is like a whole psychological concept around it. However,
Yeah.
what it will bring is more harmony to the person. And if the person is peaceful within, one of the saints, Russian saints, he said, if you find peace, inner peace within yourself, then thousands of people around you will find peace as well. So it
Mm.
actually starts with yourself. You can't find peace in other person. You can only find it inside yourself. And that's a journey, and that's a journey for each person to discover on their own. And if they think it doesn't actually work, or they don't have time for it, or it's something, other things are important, or they think that it's all bullshit, I invite them to just try it out for themselves. I think that
Mhm.
just saying that it's bullshit and that they know that it's not going to work for them, or they know other things, I think they know it just because they didn't actually explore this side of things. I don't think they just spent enough time on reading as many books as we did with you, for example, or didn't spend time as much time as they spent on their business or on their other things
Exactly.
that they're interested in, as much as they spent on exploration of their inner selves, of this spirituality concept, of this patience, of meditations, of quantum physics, even. And if they start connecting those dots all together, they'll find such an amazing world, which will not change immediately physically around them, but it will gradually bring in absolutely new opportunities that they never dreamt about, like things that they plan. And I love this whole story with Western culture where you got to set a goal and you got to go towards it. And then at
Mhm.
the end of that goal, you're like, I got it. I've done it. I'll
The
write
journey
it.
is the victory.
Yeah. But ultimately, what's interesting is that if you figure out that balance with the universe around yourself, you'll find that the things you've dreamt of yourself or you've been planning for, actually, this is just a little piece of things that universe can send to you that you've
Mhm.
never even dreamt about. Like in my personal life, I may be thinking about certain things that I think, oh wow, if I achieve that, that'll be just like super great achievement. But then when I found recently that if even if I don't think about any plans, I'll just get emails or like opportunities or
Mm,
absolutely from nowhere calls or connections, like with yourself, for example, that I've never even dreamt about, but then they
right.
appear in my life. And I'm like, wow, like this invitation for mentorship here in San Francisco in top accelerators. Like I didn't dream about it. It's just like bum email. And they say, dude, you look like you know what you're doing. Why don't you come like help us as an entrepreneur in residence for this batch from Singapore? I'm like, wow, thank you. I'm honored.
Yeah,
I'll do that. And then
really amazing.
things like that will happen in life. And I think it's important for everyone who wants to open up that door of immense opportunities for themselves is just not only to work on things that are important for them in the immediate, what's again called in sacred text is like, don't worry about dunya, or like don't worry about your life around you. Actually what they say is that you got to work on yourself, work on your inner peace, work on your inner connection with the universe, not through Neuralink, but through your actual pineal gland, your Neuralink that is already in your brain, which has been implanted there since your birth. You've already have that Neuralink in your brain. So if you
Mm,
learn to use the third eye in your own brain, in your own body, you'll be able to get to be much more successful, much more like happy with everything in your life will just try to bless you, I guess. That's what Sadhguru, and a very interesting person that I think is also important to follow, because he talks a lot about spirituality, patience, love, understanding of the world around you. I think that for people who are interested in a journey that I'm trying to describe for them, I highly advise and recommend to listen to a few of Sadhguru lessons or lectures. It's not, he's like not pushing any religion, he's not pushing any concepts that are beyond us. He's just talking about regular things, about how to take care of the body, mind, relationships, and things like that. So if the person starts working on that inner self development, they will see ultimately that it'll work out for their own benefit in such a ways that they haven't even imagined it could work. I guess I'm done.
I second it. No, absolutely. That's phenomenal. Let's take this pick this up next week.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jacob, for this call, and great always, as always, great talking to you. Thanks everyone who watched this video or is watching this video
Thank
for
you.
listening to it. And then what I'd like to ask you guys who are listening to this, maybe it may be podcast or it may be a YouTube video. Um, if you have any questions, if you would like us to expand on any of the topics that
Mm,
we're covering, please leave comments below and send us an email or just leave comments and ask us what you'd like us to talk about in one of our next sessions. And we've got a pretty wide range of knowledge with Jacob over here: marketing, tech development, super cool startups, AI, conferences. At the same time, we're both kind of into spirituality, as you can see. We're both into personal development. We're both into understanding quantum physics at a certain level. We're both into trying to bring in this harmony into the world. And what I think is important is that by communicating with you guys who are listening to us, what we our main probably goal is just to invite you to this journey of exploration of things that you may have not previously looked at or have not previously learned about. But because we've kind of been around it, we just like to extend this information to you. You may not agree with it right away. It may not work for you right away. But if we promise that if you try exploring it more, you'll see that it's actually something very interesting and very worthwhile for exploring.
mhm.
Aloha.
Right on, Alexei. Thank you.